So let's talk about money. Got one fan? So I figure about half of you just cringed and got a knot in your stomach and thought the last thing I want to do on this beautiful afternoon is talk about money. The other half of you thought, well, benefit is this is a TED Talk, so the torture won't last longer than 18 minutes. Apparently more than half of you thought that. And about 3 of you thought this one's going to be fun. But the reality is we are all investors. We make investment decisions every day. You invest your time and your passion and your skills and your knowledge, and you even invest your money. Just today, you made an investment decision. Were you going to spend your time at a TED conference, or are you going to spend your time doing errands? That was an investment decision. If you have $5 in a checking account or a diversified investment portfolio, you've made an investment decision about your money. We are all investors. What I find interesting about this discussion is how money and emotion get mixed. So when you think about money, how do you feel? How do you feel about money? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel intimidated? Do you feel fear? Do you feel greed? Do you obsess about it or do you ignore it? How do you feel about money? The problem is too many people put too much influence and power from money in their lives. Money doesn't make you better. It just makes you richer. Money doesn't make you happy. It just makes you richer. Money can make you admired. Look at Oprah Winfrey and Warren Buffett. Money can make you a target. Look at Mitt Romney and Hillary Clinton. How quickly that discussion has disintegrated to being all about the money. What money does do is it gives you choices, and it makes you make choices. That's what investing is all about, making smart choices. Too many times people confuse net worth and self-worth. Money will change your net worth, but only you can change your self-worth. And I find that self-worth is improved when I feel like I have control or some authority over aspects of my life, be that my to-do list, my weight, or my money. I'm really good with money. I am. I've got it in perspective. I know what it's for. I know what it's not for. I've got the money thing under control. I have fought my weight my entire life. If I did what I wanted to do naturally, I would weigh 125 pounds more than I weigh right now, and I would feel very out of control. Today I'm winning that battle. Tomorrow, who knows? I find that most women focus their control energies on issues other than money. And I want to change that starting today. We, in the investment industry, are masters at intimidating people with jargon and academic ideas. We think it makes us sound smart. The reality is it makes us sound obnoxious, and it alienates us from people. You know, betas, gammas, deltas, alphas, these are great if you're reading Greek, but not when you're making investment decisions. There are 3 basic questions that need to be addressed when you're making smart financial decisions. You do these things all day long in your natural life. But unfortunately, when it comes to money, we tend to freeze up. I want to change that momentum starting today. So the first thing that comes up is they ask you, so what's your investment objective? They may say, what's your financial goal? Something like that. Problem is, you don't have one. You have like 10 investment objectives. And then we use these phrases like conservative, aggressive, moderate, balanced. My favorite, balanced appreciation. Love it. I don't even know what it means. I guess I'm supposed to stand here right in a yoga pose and say thank you. You didn't think I could do that, did you? So when we get these kind of phrases and hear investment objective, let's change the momentum of that conversation back to you. What is your money for? You have a pool of money. I assume it's supposed to do something for somebody at some point in time. Let's answer those questions. Then we can start making smart financial decisions. I went through this what's the money for conversation at a dinner party with about 4 or 5 couples. And there was one guy there, you know him. He's smarter than everybody else, richer than everybody else, better looking than everybody else, and wants to make sure we all know it, right? And so I'm in the middle of this thing, and he actually cuts me off and snaps his fingers at me. Yeah, just tell me your one sexy idea. Like, oh my. So, stocks and bonds don't make you sexy. What you do with them might, but stocks and bonds don't make you sexy. But I know what he was meaning. If you just gave me a pool of money, what's my best investment idea today? What to do with it? So the problem is, it's still, what's the money for? If you're going to spend that money on groceries next week, put it in a checking account. That's the best idea. If you're going to spend it in the fall on college tuition, put it in a savings account or a CD, earn a little bit of interest, but pretty safe, but you'll earn a little bit of interest. If you're going to spend it in 5 years on a car, there's a different strategy for that. If you're going to spend it in 20 years for retirement, there's a different strategy for that. What's the money for? He still came back at me. I'm so rich, I'll never have to spend that money. I mean, I literally saw red, right there. And I said, well, then why don't you give it to somebody who can? That's what philanthropy is all about. And it shut him up. Because I basically called him a greedy jerk. So if you can answer what's the money for, you are literally more than halfway to making smart financial decisions. Then once we get through all that, then we ask you about risk. So what's your risk tolerance? And this is the word, this is how we define risk, annualized standard deviation. Here's the formula for it, little sigma, there's the formula. So did anybody wake up this morning and say, looking at my life, my financial annualized standard deviation is about 17.5%. If I get that down to about 14%, I'd be better off. I have never met anybody that did that. If you did, please come talk to me afterwards, because I think it would just be an interesting conversation to have. But this is how our entire industry defines risk. And then to figure out your attitude towards annualized standard deviation, we give you a risk tolerance questionnaire, and we ask you questions about how do you feel about risk. So how do you feel about making money in the stock market? Oh, I like that. We'll give that a 5. Okay. How do you feel when you lost money during the 2008 financial crisis? Oh, I didn't like that. We'll give that a 1. Okay. Let's add up your scores and see how you did on your risk tolerance questionnaire. See, 5 plus 1 is 6. We'll divide that by 2 to get the average, so that's 3. Look, 3 is right in between 5 and 1. You have a moderate attitude towards risk and money. By the way, about 85% of investors fall into that moderate category in these stupid questionnaires. Does anybody feel moderate about money? It's just not a typical emotion we have with money. So when you see this risk tolerance, let's change the conversation back to you. What are you worried about? When you think about money, what are you worried about? Are you worried that you're going to run out of money? Are you worried that you're not going to have enough income to support your lifestyle? Are you worried that the money you have is going to ruin the lives of people around you? Think lottery winners, right? Are you worried you're paying too much in taxes? What are you worried about? I had this discussion with a family who had a lot of money. Father had founded a company, had a vision that changed the world. Literally everybody's life in this room is improved because of this family's vision. The father's dead, mother's still alive, but wasn't engaged in the family fortune, and the middle-aged children were now running the family fortune. And they have about 90% of their wealth is still invested in this company, yet nobody works at the company. They literally have nothing to do with the company, but that's all of their financial risk, so stunning amounts of financial risk. So I went through this discussion. I did a presentation on annualized standard deviation. I had charts and graphs and statistics, and it was spectacular. It was a piece of art. It really was. And when I finished, the eldest daughter, who's now running the show, she looked at me and she said, I understand, but. So when somebody responds to you and their opening line is, I understand, but, you're about to get blindsided. And she said, I'm worried that if I sell that stock that I'm going to go to hell. And she was right, because her dad had told her from the time she was this tall, you never sell that company's stock. So I'm worried about annualized standard deviation, and she is worried about eternal damnation. Okay? So that's a lot of responsibility for an investment manager. By the way, you don't go to hell for selling stock. It seems silly to us today, but at the time it was an enormous breakthrough. She now understood, and I understood, what she was worried about. We could work on it. Took us 10 years, but we worked on it. What are you worried about? And then once we get through this thing of risk tolerance, then we ask you about reward. How much reward do you need from your investment portfolio? And we define, which is a kind of a weird word, and we define it by total annualized return, realized return. There's the equation for it. Perfect way to intimidate people, right? A nice equation, subscripts, Greek letters, da-da-da. By the way, somebody won a Nobel Prize for that equation, so it's kind of a big deal. His name is Bill Sharp. Does that seem rewarding to anybody? But that's how we define financial reward in our industry. So when you see this equation, say congratulations for the Nobel Prize, and then bring the conversation, change the momentum back to you, what's going to make you happy? At the end of the day, what is going to make you happy about this financial decision? And by the way, the worst answer you can give is, I just want to make as much money as possible. Because if you say that, you have just handed all the authority and responsibility for your money to somebody else, and they are probably going to rip you off. It is the worst answer. About 5 years ago, I met with some financial professionals, just like doctors don't operate on themselves and lawyers don't represent themselves. Investment professionals get investment advice. And I wanted to see what I needed to do, or if I could even do it, live without a corporate paycheck. So I could do more things like this and be happier. What did I need to do to live without a corporate paycheck? So what you need to do is you need to make some lifestyle adjustments. By the way, that's code for spend less money. And put more money into savings, increase the nest egg, change the investment so there's more income and less volatility. And I did it. And today, I am living without a corporate paycheck, and I'm doing things like this, and I'm happy. I mean, I'm not happy right now. I'm kind of nervous and jacked up, right, sharing this talk with you. But in general, right, my life is happier. What is going to make you happy about this investment decision? If you can't answer that question, you will never be happy about money. So let's put all this financial stuff in perspective. I thought Melody Hobson said it really well in her TED Talk. And she said, no one's coming to rescue you. Women are conditioned from a very young age to look for a rescuer. But Cinderella and Rapunzel are a fairy tale. No one's coming to rescue you. Not only do you have the responsibility, but you have the authority and the power to do this. When I meet with financial professionals, if they can't handle the discussion about what is my money for, what am I worried about, and what is going to make me happy, I say, you know what, thank you very much. I learned a lot today. I hope you did too, because you need to be better. Because I deserve better. And I walk out the door and I find it. You deserve better too. Do not confuse net worth and self-worth. Money will not make you better. It will just make you richer. Stay focused on 3 very important questions. And if you answer these honestly, you will make smart financial decisions and you will be happy about money. What is your money for? What are you worried about? And what is going to make you happy? Thank you for your time.